And Shair, at that time, after the death of Abraham, frequently went into the field to hunt.
He hunted frequently.
And Nimrod, king of Babal.
He was what?
King of Babal.
He was king of Babylon. Babal is the Aubrey. Babylon is what we know it as today. You tell people Babal, they be like, but what? So you tell them Babylon, they know Babylon. Some people went to Babylon High School, New York. What high school you come from? I went to Babylon High School. We know Babylon. Babylon is, when we say Babylon is everywhere, the name Babylon is everywhere.
Was Amrapal. Also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field.
Yep.
And to walk about with his men in the cool of the day.
He went hunting in the field in the cool of the day. Shair hunts in the field in the cool of the day. That's in the morning when it's real early. He gets up early when it's dark. And he out there hunting.
And Nimrod was observing Shair.
So he had his eye on his enemy. Shair was a Shatan to him. Opponent.
Observing Shair all the days, for jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Shair all the days.
Yep, jealousy. See, there was something in his heart concerning Shair.
And on a certain day, Shair went in the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his 2 men.
He was walking in the wilderness with 2 men.
And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness, but they removed at a distance from him. And they went from him in different directions to hunt.
They went from him in different directions. They were there. He kept his army near him.
And Shair concealed himself from Nimrod.
Now, Shair concealed himself from Nimrod. Shair concealed, he concealed himself from all religions. Hid himself in it. Open up your Bibles. Turn to the book of Romans. That's Shair. Wait a minute. Herod, king of Yasharal. Herod was Shair. Wait a minute. How is this possible? He concealed himself.
Camouflage.
Yep, camouflage. He loved to, he'd go to school wearing camouflage. We went to school with Shair. He dressed his sons up in camouflage. The people that grew up in the country, you know what I'm talking about. You grew up in the city, you don't know what I'm talking about. See, I grew up in both worlds. Had the best of both worlds, young and old.
And Shair concealed himself from Nimrod, and he lurked for him in the wilderness.
He lurked for him in the wilderness. Something else you got to know about, let me see. We're not ready for it.
Oh.
Here. Something else you got to know about Shair. Genesis 28 and 20.
And Shair was a designing.
He's designing.
And deceitful man.
He's a designing and deceitful man. This is part of his rough qualities.
One who hunted after the hearts of men.
He hunts men. You got to know this. You got to know this. We out here being hunted and don't even know it. We're in his land being hunted down. He put on a uniform with a star on it. Let them lie on the ground and bleed to death.
What's that word?
Read it.
Right here.
Inveigled.
And inveigled them. And Shair was a valiant man in the field.
This is deceitful. He's operating in deceit. That's what this word means.
And the course of time went as usual to hunt. And he came as far as the field of Shair. The same as Edom.
So he hunts after men. This is him hunting after Nimrod.
I'm on 6.
Okay, let me move it.
And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him.
They ain't know him.
And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field at the cool of the day. And to know where his men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and 2 of his men that were with him came to the place where they were, when Shair started suddenly from his lurking place, and drew his sword, and hastened and ran to Nimrod and cut off his head.
So he drew his sword out, he rushed him. Nimrod didn't see it coming. Sneak attack. And cut his head off.
And Shair fought a desperate fight with the 2 men that were with Nimrod.
So he ended up fighting a desperate fight. These 2 men had to have been 2 of the most powerful men. That's why they were near him. And the others, they went off hunting somewhere else. They stayed near to him. They were like his right-hand men.
And when they called out to him, Shair turned to them and smote them to death with his sword. And all the mighty men of Nimrod, who had left him to go to the wilderness, heard the cry at a distance.
They heard the cry. They heard the fight at a distance.
And they knew the voices of those 2 men, and they ran to know the cause of it.
What happened?
When they found their king and the 2 men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness.
They saw him lying dead in the wilderness.
And when Shair saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled and thereby escaped. And Shair took the valuable garments of Nimrod.
He did what?
Took the valuable garments of Nimrod.
Not only did he kill Nimrod, which was the mighty one on earth, in order to become the mighty one on earth, don't tell me this ain't deep. In order to become the mighty one on earth, we don't know Edom or we don't know him. We don't know Shair, period. We know Edom, but we don't know Edom to be the mighty one on earth today. We looked at this story and we went over the story, but we never saw that he's the mighty one today. He's our mighty one on the earth today. See, that sounds blasphemous. He said we would serve other mighty ones. Whatever mighty one Shair served, he made sure we serve. He gave us what? Christianity. The worship of a name that can't be named today. Worshiping a name that I refuse to spell today. That name ain't even work, but that name is everywhere. Everywhere. You can't go in any country without seeing that name.
Shair took the valuable garments of Nimrod.
He took the valuable garments of Nimrod,
which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land.
He prevailed. This is the reason he became the mighty one. It was because of these garments. I told y'all, my son, well, you told us. We've been going around this. How many times we talked about these garments? How many times we went into this? Many, countless. But we didn't make the connection that Esau became the mighty one. Took down the king and the mighty one and never even understand that he took what caused power to come into Nimrod. We're going to show it. Where did Nimrod get the power from? These garments. These weren't ordinary garments. These garments weren't made by man. Continue.
And he ran and concealed them in his house.
Mm-hmm.
And Shair took those garments and ran into the city on account of Nimrod's men. And he came unto his father's house, wearied
and exhausted. This is when he was about to die. We read in Genesis when he came to his brother Yaakov and he was faint. And he felt like he was about to die. It was because of this. The Bible is incomplete. We don't know the full story. This is why he was faint. He was unto death.
Exhausted from fight. And he was ready to die.
He was ready to die. He was at the point of death. That was a gruesome fight that almost took his life.
Ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Yaakov and sat before him.
All right. Let's look at this garment. I said these garments were no ordinary garments. Genesis 3:21.
Also for Edom and his wife, Yahuwah made tunics of skin and clothed them.
This is the garment. This is the garment. The Most High made this garment. This garment was made for the first man. You see, when we read this, we don't hear no more about the garments in the Bible. That's it. You're done. You're finished. We only need the Bible only. What about the other books that our forefathers had that they didn't combine with the Bible? We need the Bible only. The KJV. Joshua 7:23-32. Here are the garments. That's where they came from.
And Cush, the son of Ham, the son of Noah, took a wife in those days in his old age, and she bare a son, and they called his name Nimrod, saying, at that time the sons of men again began to rebel and transgress against Yahuwah.
They rebelled and transgressed against the Most High yet once again.
And the child grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly.
Pay attention. He was a normal man. He was a normal child. He grew up. He had a decent heart. He had a good heart. He had a humble heart.
For he was the son of his old age.
Mm-hmm.
And the garments of skin which the Most High made for Edom and his wife.
The garment of what?
Garments of skin.
This means it was animal skin. You wear animal skin all the time. We call it leather. We call it leather. It has to go through a processing. It has to go through a process, and it comes out to your leather coat, your leather jacket.
When they went out of the garden, were given to Cush.
So these garments that we just read about in the Bible were given to Cush.
For after the death of Edom.
All right, here's what happened. This is how it got to Cush.
And his wife, the garments were given to Enoch.
Enoch. Pay attention. The garments were given to Enoch,
the son of Yarad.
Mm-hmm.
And when Enoch was taken up to the Most High, he gave them to Methuselah.
Then he gave them to his son, Methuselah,
his son. And at the death of Methuselah, Noah took them and brought them to the ark.
Notice, Noah took the garments, brought them into the ark. Noah had the garments.
And they were with him until he went out of the ark.
These garments stayed with him until he went out of the ark. He knew the importance of this garment.
And in their going out, Ham stole those garments from Noah his father. And he took them and hid them from his brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And when Ham begot his firstborn Cush, he gave him the garments in secret, and they were with Cush many days.
So here we go. Ham taking it. Ham stole the garments from his father, and he hid it from the brothers. And then it ended up, Ham begot Cush, gave the garments to him in secret, and they was with Cush many days.
And Cush also concealed them from his sons and brothers.
He sealed it from his sons and his brother. They'll be fighting over them. If they knew they had these garments, they'll be fighting over. Notice something. You have to notice here. They're being passed from this one to that one. Maybe they had them 200 years, 300 years, 800 years, 500 years. They lived a long time. This is how long they were keeping them, approximately. Don't think it got to them 1 year and then the next year it was to the other one. That's our little minds thinking that way. They had them for hundreds of years.
And when Cush had begotten Nimrod, he gave him those garments through his love for him.
Uh-huh.
And Nimrod grew up, and when he was 20 years old, he put on those garments.
And when he was 20 years old, he put on those garments. Stop. Hold it. Seriously? Family, nobody else put on these garments. Nobody. No one. They just passed them down. Passed them down. Passed them down. And here it is. When he became 20 years old, he put on the garment. Then the Torah leaped in my ruach. Ooh, Boom! This leaped in my ruach.